Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Imani and I love all things planner and self-care related. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss new content. In today's video, we're going to do something different. A subscriber requested that I go through my half letter setup and just kind of talk about some of the dashboards and inserts that you see me using. And of course, I'm going to do a weekly plan with me at the end. So I'm really excited. Let's get started. As soon as you open up the planner, we're starting with a few glass plastic covers and dashboards from cloth and paper. I think I talked about this one earlier this year, but this is one of the glass plastic covers and I desperately need a new one. I think I bought the wrong one the last time because it wasn't sort of that very clear dashboard look, but this is so scratched up. I need another one. This dashboard is also in their glass plastic. It is also pretty scratched up, but I've had it for a while. So to be honest with you, I think I bought this in 2021 or early 2022. So to me, it's lived its life. Eventually, I think I'll get a new one, but this one doesn't bother me as much as the cover does. In my plan with me a couple weeks ago, perhaps maybe the May reset, I really just wanted to feel a little bit more artistic with my planner. So I pulled out this art dashboard that just features some portraits and talks about humanism and Renaissance art. And I used the washi tape from Cloth and Paper, which launched pretty recently. I think it was the March 2023 subscription box. And this is the color crepe, and I've used cortado so far. And then they have another one that I haven't used yet. It's like a checkerboard pattern. We'll see if I use that one because this is sort of my reintroduction into washi tape. If you're into washi tape, let me know in the comments below. I used to use it a lot when I was into sort of the more decorative planning, so my Erin Condren and my Happy Planner days, but otherwise I haven't used it in a while, so it was nice to get some neutral options to help introduce me back into the washi tape world. Next up is this Year at a Glance vellum. I don't reference this often, but often enough that I justified buying it. And of course, you know, I love layering, so I have it layered on top of this dashboard, again from Cloth and Paper, and it says you have to change your mind before you change the way you live or the way you move, which I think is a really powerful quote. So that's what I have in the beginning of my planner, even before we get to the schedule section. So before we continue, full disclosure, I used to be a Cloth and Paper affiliate, but I'm no longer an affiliate and I still use their products. So this will seem like it's sponsored by Cloth and Paper, but I promise it's not. I just really enjoy the products and I enjoy the quality of the products. So most of the inserts and dashboards will be from Cloth and Paper. So before we move on to the tabs, let's talk about how I divide my planner. So you just saw the introduction, and that's just more of a decorative side. I think the only one that I reference pretty frequently, or the most frequently, I guess, out of what you just saw was the Year at a Glance. Otherwise, I don't really open the planner to look at the dashboards. So my planner has quite a few dividers and sticky notes calling out a few pages, but the three main categories are schedule, notes and list, and finances, all the way in the back. So in notes and lists is where I keep sort of my business plans. So you'll see, and I got this idea from Ashley from Cloth and Paper, I have April, May, and June dashboards, or dividers rather, in the notes in this section. So I just have a calendar layout, and I'll show April actually to just kind of help me visualize the month for the business. Otherwise, notes and lists will have some note pages, and schedule obviously has the weekly stuff and some of the monthly admin inserts. And then finance, I actually was not using that for a while, and I just decided to grab just like a plain notes or lined insert and write out my paycheck. I don't know why I did that. I think I just wanted to do something different other than putting it in my digital planner that I use on my iPad, but it worked for me for at least this week. We'll see how it goes. So let's dive into the schedule section. So immediately, this is what you see when you flip to the schedule tab. I have these two dashboards layered, and I loved the way this looked because it's sort of the same, I think it is the same font, even though this one is definitely fading a little bit. I'm so sad about it. It's like scratching, but to be honest with you, I don't know how long I actually had this for, so I feel like it's been a while, and I'm happy with it, even though it is scratching up a little bit. Then you open to beauty is in the way you hold yourself. I love that quote. I have this 1 minute habits dashboard that I don't use as much anymore. I haven't changed these in a while, and I think that's because I misplaced my transparent circle notes, but this was intended for me to at least reference and change weekly, but that hasn't been working out as much as I wanted to. So here is the setup on my inbox at the moment. I don't know why that washi tape is peeling up. I'm just gonna flatten it a bit. But this is my inbox dashboard. I don't really use it as an inbox. I think, you know, the intent is to really use it how you want to use it, but I know people use it for like to-do lists and to move to the outbox and then take things out. But I just use it as kind of reminders. These are 2 books that I want to read going forward. These are some affirmations. And then I just really appreciated this recent planner card that came in the May 2023 subscription box. And it says, "You deserve luxury." Next up is a old favorite of mine. It says resilience. I really appreciated this dashboard. It has a quote from Mary Holloway that says, "Resilience is knowing that you are the only one that has the power and the responsibility to pick yourself up," which is a really strong quote. And I just, again, I liked how this layered on top of the inbox, even though you don't quite see it as much as you used to, because I do have more on the inbox, but it's all good. Of course, I gotta stick some affirmations everywhere in my planner, so there's one. And then we get to sort of the weekly and the daily plans in this section of the planner. So I still haven't filled out the 2023 goals. I use Notion a lot, and I'm actually going to talk about that in a future video. My personal goals for the year are housed in Notion, where it's all, and I also use Notion for sort of like overarching business things, right? So hint hint, I'm like launching something in November around my birthday, so those like major plans are housed there, and it kind of organizes my life. So I think what I'm going to do for my finances is look for a finance tracker for Notion and track everything there, but we'll see about that. We have another year at a glance. I know it's repetitive, but this one I actually highlighted with the important dates, so birthdays, holidays, things of that nature. So I've talked a lot about my struggles with the calendar layout on cloth and paper products and like their daily, weekly plans. I did not like it. It just didn't work for me, but this for some reason works really well. As you can see, I had been crossing off the days as they pass. We're on the 20th, so I can cross those last 2 days off. And I have been keeping this updated, so I've been doing really good with this. There's also room on the back for notes, but I don't really use that. As you can see, there's like a random sticky note there. Next up is the project schedule. This is technically a project management insert, but I use it to track my habits, my self-care habits. So no judgment. I feel like business tasks, that's going really well. Reading, I could do better with that. No spend, that is what it is. I've been doing really good with meditation. Vitamins, I think I've realized the problem. One thing I'm gonna do is kind of stack my habits. So eat breakfast, take vitamins. So I just need to place the vitamins near what I would eat and not sacrifice taking my vitamins like during the workday, because that's when I struggle the most. Like I can do okay on the weekends, but when I'm at work in the office, which is 3 days a week, unfortunately, I just completely abandon all habits, which is kind of sad. But This is a really helpful insert, and I think it just shows how you can repurpose things and make them work for your life. Like, that was intended to be a project management insert, and all of a sudden I just started using it for self-care habits, and it's the perfect tracker for me. This is my gratitude log. As you can see, the 13th through the 16th was a stressful time because I did not write anything down, and I haven't checked within the last couple days, but I know what I was grateful for the last couple days, so I can fill that in after the video. And then we start getting to the weekly layouts and plans. So to show you this, I'm going to take off the paper clips that I have. I'll link the paper clips as well. This is a recent May 2023 sub box insert, I guess, or freebie from Cloth and Paper. It says grit and grind. And then we have the weekly layout that I use. So this is the dashboard that I was talking about earlier that just, it wasn't working for me. I love how it looks, but for some reason I just couldn't have this layout work well with my plans, and I have no idea why. But this is what my weekly and like schedule looks like. As you can see here, I actually took some notes from a podcast I was listening to. I didn't have my executive notebook with me, so I just opened up my planner and wrote. So hey, I find that if it works for me, it works for me, and that worked for me in that moment. So this is another example of a layout, and then here is the current week. As you can see, was not planning in the beginning of the week, but I got myself together towards the end of the week. And then we have the week that we will be planning, so I'm gonna rip this out. So after this, it's my midweek reset prep. If you recall that series, we just went through how to set up a midweek reset routine. And then that is version 1 of my midweek reset routine. And I wrote version 2, like sort of the long version, out somewhere, and I think I wrote it in my executive notebook, and I need to transport that here. I don't know why I wrote it in 2 different places, but this is my running to-do list. I had to just sit down one day and get everything out of my brain and onto paper. So these are things that have a due date, but some of them are in the future and they're not 100% urgent. So for example, I'm not going on any trips until July, so I'm not really worried about some of that now in May. I mean, I do want to get some outfits. I'm going to the Beyonce concert in Toronto, so that is going to take some planning, but it's May 19th, 20th. It's not something that I have to be concerned with now, but the running to-do list on the task delegation insert works really well for me. The first thing under the vellum is almost like, see, I have the inbox tab right here. So this is like my business inbox, and I like to use the calendar sticky note to just track a business habit. Not that I'm doing all that great with showing my face on Instagram, but I think that's kind of the struggle that I have with like being sort of like a planning adjacent content creator, is like everything's about the plans, but we're going to show our face more, especially in the end of May. And then we flip to this dashboard, or this insert. This is a mind map insert, and it's the dot grid, and I have a love-hate relationship with dot grid. Some of it works for me, some of it doesn't. A lot of it depends on the spacing. So for me, I'm not a huge dot grid fan. I just started getting into sort of the grid style of inserts, and that is what is in the executive notebook. And I'll be sure to post like a photo of that here, but dot grid, it doesn't often work for me. But here are a few inserts, or dashboards rather, that I just put into my planner. This came in the May 2023 sub box from Cloth and Paper, so I'm hoping it'll be up on the website soon in the happy hour. The back says don't settle, and then we have this beautiful It's like a silver, I don't even know what they called it, but it's reflective because you can clearly see my camera right there. And it talks about FICA, which is the Swedish concept of taking a break to enjoy good company and refreshments, which I think is really powerful. So after sort of that introduction, inbox content in the business sort of section of notes and lists, you have these 3 dividers that I talked about. So let's dive into April, because I think I can show April now. This is kind of how I think things out, right? I plan my content in Notion, but this was a way for me to just write out to see the content that I wanted to create. So back then I was only doing bi-weekly YouTube videos. Now the YouTube videos are weekly, and you know, I was tracking weekly emails. I wanted to post on TikTok. I'm trying to think what S stood for. That is crazy that I don't know what S stood for. I'm pretty sure if I looked in Notion, I would know what that stood for, but it's pretty plain, right? And it's just a way for me to lay out what's going on. Like, see, my IG live was that day. I know that I started planning maybe like the 11th for that, to think about what I wanted to talk about. So it's a complement to what I have in Notion. So this is what, I don't think I started June yet. So this is just kind of what I have for my monthly plans in the business layout. Not much, but just enough for me to be able to see in the future what's going on with paper and to be able to translate that into Notion. I have this dashboard, so it's like a embossed dashboard, and you can use a highlighter to fill out the letters. I just put purpose because that's my 2023 word of the year, and I put it in here because it does kind of relate to just, you know, business purpose, but also a personal purpose as well. But I felt that it was more powerful back here. So next up are inserts that I see. So for example, I was planning the IG live for April back here. I think I had some things that I'm still working on over here, so I don't want to show that. This was a layout from my website, so I'm using the project inserts from Cloth and Paper, and I think they're a bundle. I'm going to put links to everything, but I think this was a bundle as well. So the rest of this section is not much that I use, to be honest. These are just some implementation, like self-care related goals. These are the reflection inserts from Cloth and Paper. I think this was in the January 2023 box. Pretty old. So we're still in the notes and list section, but I wanted to show you what I use for podcast notes. A lot of the inserts in there was stuff that we've already talked about, like the notes, inserts, task delegation, but they all relate to sort of like business stuff, so I won't share everything. There's nothing special. There's no special insert that I haven't already talked about. But this is my sort of podcast notes section. I have this dashboard from Cloth and Paper. There's Luxury and Simplicity. And I am using one of these sticky tabs. We love transparent tabs over here. But this is what I mean by podcast notes. It's literally just lined inserts. I think they call these the task inserts because the lines don't have the space to kind of check things off. These are just all notes. Oh, this will be helpful. Okay. This is, wow, this is a blast from the past because this is the lined insert from Infinite Lotus. I think my only issue is the paper. I don't know about you all, but I'm very into like the more textured inserts. When inserts and dashboards are smooth, like it's harder for me to write. I don't know what it is, but I remember having to use a smaller nib size, I think 0.38 for this, and it was just a struggle for me. But I love the paper and I love the layout, but I just need something with a little like tooth to it and not as smooth. But as you can see, a lot of notes here. That out as well. And then we get to the outbox, but as you can see, there's really nothing here because I don't use a lot of sticky notes that would require me to move them from the inbox or insert onto the outbox. I think I do a lot of brainstorming on inserts themselves and not sticky notes, which might explain why our box is empty. So last up is the finance section. I won't go through all of it because, to be honest, I haven't really been using it a lot until recently. I mean, I just kept note pages back there, and then literally this week, I think the payday was the 19th, I just decided to plan on paper for some odd reason. I think it just felt better writing it out, which is weird because I do the same thing on digital. But I'm gonna flip this around because I just realized this is backwards. That's better. But I just have these two inserts layered. I don't love it, but again, I don't really reference this section often. And then you start the money and finance affirmations, and then it's just inserts that look like these. So again, this is the task insert from Cloth and Paper. So that was pretty much it with my planner. As you can see, I don't really use the finance tab a lot. Maybe that will change. We'll see how this week goes. I feel like the most used tabs are the obviously like the schedule one, because that has my like weekly plans, and then business I'm starting to use a lot more in conjunction with the executive notebook. So I'm getting a lot of use out of those two tabs, which for me, I think that's pretty good. So we're gonna get started with the weekly plans per usual. Today I decided to use the Kokuyo pen. I hope I'm saying that correctly. It's a 0.5 nib size. As you can see, I do have some ink stains on here, but that's not from this pen. It's from another pen that was in the holder. But let me get out a highlighter or two to use as well. So while looking for a pen or a highlighter, I found the adhesive gel pen. So I think I'm gonna use that because y'all know that is my all-time favorite. I have my inserts out. I also pulled up my iCal, and I have gotten a few questions about this because people are like, well, how do you use digital planning? And, you know, what do you mean by calendar? So a really good example is the fact that my boyfriend and I were just invited to an art museum opening. That is all the way in June. And it's something that I need to be aware of, but not something that I need to write down in my weekly plans, right? So for me, I have the iCal, which is Apple's version of the calendar, open for the entire month. And I'm looking so I can still see ahead for something that's coming up in 2 weeks. So for example, the art museum opening is on the 2nd. On the 3rd, I have dinner and a kids walk. Okay, I know what that is. I'm like looking like, what is this kids walk? I do have a kids walk here in Buffalo that I'm gonna go to with my nephew and my mom. So I'm able to see weeks ahead, so I can still plan ahead for like outfit purposes and stuff like that. But also it's really just helpful for me to transport the things I need in this week instead of planning ahead on a monthly calendar, for example. So what I'm going to do is, of course, you know, we start out by writing out meetings, important dates, reminders, sneaker drops, which I still didn't get those sneakers from last week. And then we're going to move on to writing the to-do and the to-do list for the week. Let's get started. So I think I am all done. I wrote a few affirmations. Well, this is a quote from Angela Duckworth. She wrote a book called Grit. And this is just, you know, affirmation reminder for me during the week. And I used this highlighter. I will link them below just to kind of highlight what's going on more importantly during the week, but then the important task on the left here. I really need to get that meeting prep done because the meeting that I had scheduled for last week was pushed to this week. So we're just gonna write meeting at 6:30. P. Okay. Don't love it, but it is what it is. And meeting prep is important. I need to talk to a newspaper. And then this is a heavy like appointment scheduling week. I need to schedule dental, I need to schedule hair and nails. So it's really funny because nail and hair almost look alike here, but I wanted to highlight the important task over here as well, per usual. Well, that is it for the week in my planner. If you have any questions about some of the products or what you've seen in today's video, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.